Hello and welcome to a little video. Last week, Sean from Claret and Hugh and Ian Dale from West Ham Till I Die put together a survey for West Ham fans that have been to the London Stadium and they wanted your opinions. Now, over 6,000 of you completed this survey. Gonzo's got the results, so we're going to go through the questions, give you what our answers were and what the overall answers were. Gonzo, you've seen the results. Is it a good survey? Is it a bad survey? Any surprises for us? A way to come up?
Well, I think it's a good survey because it's a thorough survey. Is it going to be good for the club to hear? I don't think so, but it's any survey where you can get a broad spectrum, 6,000 fans all giving an honest opinion is always going to be a good survey.
Right, well, the very first question, we're going to run through the questions where you give us our ones. Gonzo, the very first question is, what's your age? What category did you come into? You must have been one of the latter ones.
Well, there were several categories: 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, 55 to 64, 65 to 74, and 75 or older. So I just managed to scrape it into the 25 to 34 category. What about yourself?
That's the one I'm in, but I don't believe you're in that. When was your birthday not long ago?
Maybe one above then. But yeah, so what was quite interesting about that was there were a large number of 18 to 25-year-olds and then a large number of 45 to 54-year-olds as well. So just before anything else, because there's a lot of negativity in here, I think it's actually quite positive, because there was talk a few years ago that the young fans might be priced out of football because football is expensive. I think it is quite positive that there are so many young fans, and as you'll see later on, a lot of them are attending the games, which is good, if nothing else, for the future of West Ham, I think.
The next question was, how long have you been supporting West Ham? Without going into this one, we'll fly through this one because it pretty much depends on how old you are. I think there's looking at it, there's a massive correlation between age and length of being a fan.
As you'd expect. So yeah, quite, rightly so. And just same with any club. Lots of loyal fans. You don't switch your clubs. So as you say, direct correlation between your age and how long you've been supporting the club. So yeah, straight on to question 3, I think.
Yeah, well, for this one, it asked how many games you've been to. For me, I was in the 11 to 15. It was broken up into 4 or 5 game segments. I was in the 11 to 15. You've been to more than me, though. You've been to the mall, bar a couple, really.
Yeah, but I just think it's absolutely wonderful how so many people that took this survey. The biggest category is between 16 and 19 games, and I mean by far the most fell into that. And out of this survey, that was actually 26%. So that's 1,679 people had attended that many games, and there were over 1,000 people in this survey that have attended all 20 games. So you know what, fair play to everybody, because whilst they might not, as you'll see later, have been absolutely happy with everything, that shows the passion and commitment of a football fan, that you just carry on going regardless.
Well, that's the information over and done with. Now we're on to the opinions. Question 4 was, after 7 months in the London Stadium, do you still believe that the move was a good idea? What was don't give me the overall answer, what was your personal response to this, Gonzo?
I put not sure yet. So we had yes, no, and not sure yet were the 3 answers. I'm not going to put every graphic up on the screen because it's just going to be editorial nightmare. So we want to sort of keep it as fresh as possible. I was not sure yet. What about you?
I put no. I don't. I'm not like 100% no. I can't get moved over to yes eventually. But the question is, later on in the surveys, you'll find out there is a question as to, do you think eventually? So right now, do I believe it's a good idea? No, because I think this hinges on the fact that I think we moved too soon. I think there should have been a year's gap, if you like, in between the stadium getting handed over and us moving in. I think we rushed the move a little bit. And it's just the way the season's gone about. I just think that this could have happened at Upton Park. I'm not seeing anything that sort of personally that says that this was a good idea, but I can get my arm twisted eventually if the right things were to happen.
Well, this was perhaps amongst the most even spread of all the categories. There's no point breaking it down to small numbers. Basically, about a third said yes, about a third said no, and about a third weren't sure. Slightly more in the no category. But if you look at the graphic, you'll think, hold on, that's not quite even. Believe you me, once you look at others, you'll see that that's a pretty even spread.
Yeah, like I said, I can be persuaded. But question 5 when will our London Stadium feel like our proper home? For me, I put 2 to 5 seasons on this one, and I think that's been realistic, but also slightly optimistic. I think 2 seasons is too optimistic, but I think 4 or 5 years is a realistic number in my opinion.
And that was the largest category, 2 to 5 seasons, which was 41% said that. 6% said it felt like home already, which is nice. You don't know, maybe there might be a direct correlation between those and those that have just sort of started following the club. So if you didn't really have a history at Upton Park, and it would feel like home, wouldn't it? But what was quite telling is the second largest category. They said it never will, which was the last choice on the multiple choice. It never will. 30% of people said that the London Stadium, Olympic Stadium, never will feel like home, and that's. I mean, you can understand as well, can't you? You know, the people that were in love with Upton Park. You know,
what I find, don't know if this is a good or a bad number. Anyone else is when the previous question, does it feel like home now? 38% said no, but for it never will. There's 30%, so there's sort of like 8% that, like myself, that can be persuaded and thinks it can change. But there's 30% of that 30. Oh, sorry. Do you know what I mean? Out of that 38%, 30 of those percent have carried on and say, actually, it's never going to feel like home. There's only 8% of that figure can be
swayed.
It's not a lot. It's not a big number, I don't think. But what did you put for that one? I put 2 to 5 seasons.
Yeah, I put 2 to 5 seasons. I could have actually been, in all honesty, been persuaded for next season as well. But I put 2 to 5, as most people did. A lot of it's been down to the football for me, and a lot of the early issues have been ironed out. We'll get onto the transport later, which was something for me. But yeah, I think our own match day experience. I think the boats. I think the big thing moving away was your local pub, and we searched for a pub, didn't we? We did videos and searched around. So when the opportunity of the boats came up, which you sourced fantastically well, and we went down to have the meeting with them, it did become apparent actually we could create a little home from home. We could create a sort of little mini West Ham bar, basically, which is what we've done. So it does feel West Ham, it does feel like home. We have a good sing song on it. As I say, it's more the pitch stuff. I think without that, I can understand people that are travelling to that stadium, long journey in, Westfield don't let you in properly, and then you have a long journey out, and maybe you haven't got a regular boozer. I can understand how you could feel that will never feel like home, because your whole experience around the game is what keeps you buoyed, particularly when what's going on the pitch is crap. Actually, you drink afterwards, you bite to eat, and then your journey home is actually all a big part of the day. So yeah, I can understand it.
I try to remove the non-football stadium aspect to it, because I did say about the London stadium, so I was trying to base it on the ground itself, and that's why I struggle. That's why I put no, because the ground itself, I'm not happy with that at all yet. This question surprised me. Question 6: if you're a season ticket holder, do you plan to renew for next season? Purely because I didn't think it would be such a big number in saying yes as I did, because all the polls so far have suggested almost like a third saying yes, a third saying no, and a third saying not sure. But on this one, there's a bigger difference, and I'm a yes. I know you're obviously a yes because you've renewed, but did the overall results surprise you?
Yes, only for a second. Then I thought about it. I thought, actually, no, because as football fans, we're loyal. As you say, you know, you change your job, you change your car, you change your wife. Sorry, hopefully she's not listening. But you don't change your football team, and so you're following through thick and thin. So I can sort of understand that whilst people may not be happy with everything, they are going to renew. And for those of you that 40% out of 6,000 said they were going to renew, and only 11% said no. So and then we had 2 others. We had not sure, not a season ticket holder, and on the waiting list. So in many respects, I think that's the most positive stat the club will take out of this survey.
I think the worrying stat they have to take out of this question, I think this could get overlooked, which is why I kind of want to do this video. Not a season ticket holder, 23% of people, almost a quarter of people on this said not a season ticket holder. Only 8% said they're on the waiting list. That's 3-4 times as many people not a season ticket holder, but they're not on the waiting list, so they don't want a season ticket. That's a massive number of people that don't want a season ticket. 8% is on the waiting list. That's the smallest margin there. That's the smallest amount.
Yeah, I know at least 3 or 4 people, though, I must say, who work alternate weekends in their job, and they love West Ham as much as anyone else, but it would be physically impossible for them to have a season ticket. So you've got to remember, there's a lot of people who just can't have one for family and work commitments, but will try and go to 6 or 7 games a season.
I bet they're on that 55,000 list, though.
I don't know.
Right. Question 7. If you're a season ticket holder, have you ever used ticket exchange functionality for matches you cannot make? Have you ever used it?
No, and this is not a good answer. No, I've not. For the reason that everybody said.
I'm not for that reason. I put. Well, my answer wasn't here. I had to skip this one.
Yes, which is I basically hand it over to a friend when I'm not going or something.
Yeah, because the survey mucked up here, because it says the options were: I never miss a game, yes, sometimes, yes, every time I can't make a game, not worth it financially, or prefer to leave my seat empty. Well, I'm the same as you. My seat's never gone empty, but I've missed all the midweek games because of Sky. But I live 550 miles away. I can't get to the midweek ones, but there's always been someone in my seat. As you know, because you've been sitting next to them, but there's always been someone in my seat. But I've never used the ticket exchange thing. But if you look out of the 6,000 it took it, 1,500, 1,600 people skipped this question.
Well, I'd noticed that actually.
So this question got skipped a lot. So I think the survey had a little error there. I think there was a little error for that one. That question needed one more option, I think.
But most said, as you're going to say now.
What's that then?
Oh, not worth it financially was the big answer with 36%. 1,700 people said, and this is this is a cross section. 6,000 people have been, it's almost 10 times more than this. So really, if this was reflective, a sort of pro rata scale, then you'd be saying at least 11,000 people would be saying it wasn't worth it financially to stick it on the exchange scheme, and I think that's a bit of an issue, really.
I think it had bad press when people first started using it. It was very negative from the off. People went on and got surprised at how much they were getting or how little they were getting. I think since then, bridges were burnt. And people, to be honest with you, it's because of that. I've never even looked to see how much I would get for a game. I've just sold it. And the worst thing is, I'd probably actually get more from Club Cash than I am giving my ticket to someone else and taking money off them, because I'm giving it for a lot less face value to people than I would. So actually, I'd probably get more money back using the ticket exchange. But it's for me, it's not just about ticket exchange. It's about who's in my seat. I don't want Joe Block sitting next to you. I want someone that I know is going to sit next to you. They know you, etc. They're going to be respectful to the guy behind me who has to put up with me on a Saturday. But you sort of build a relationship in that area.
Yeah, you do. Becomes
your seat. So the last thing you want is someone turning up and bouncing up and down and annoying everyone. So if I can give it to people I know that's going to behave and get on with everyone, then that's, to me.
Well, Gio, let me just tell you, on behalf of everybody that sits around there, they're absolutely delighted when you give your seat to somebody else.
Yeah, the swearing toast down. The swearing might lower a little bit. I know, but right, we'll move on to question 8. We've got a lot of questions to get through. This is a big one. This is a big winner for this one. Question number 8: if you were a season ticket holder, were your expectations managed well before the move to the new stadium?
Well, we had 3 answers: stadium as expected, stadium worse than expected, stadium better than expected. It's an excellent question. And stadium worse than expected is the clear winner, 60%. For me,
only 6.5% said it was better.
It had a big build-up. It had a very, very big build-up. I've got to take some partial responsibility to that. I mean, we built a lot of our own YouTube channel off the back of Olympic Stadium excitement, going up into there. I've got to, did a big vlog. It got loads of views about going to the stadium. I got mugged off. I was one of the ones that I never wanted to move. Did not want to move until I went to that reservation centre. And then once I got my
sense that I was getting my season ticket and that. And like you said, we then went across the road and went over to it. And that's when we started getting, well, you were always for the move. So you were sort of G'ing me up anyway. But that got me excited. And that's when I started to start believing I don't know, what they were selling us. I fell for the catalogue. And the catalogue was, what we got delivered was not what was in the brochure.
Well, I did a series of vlogs, and then we had something called the Newham North Run. That wasn't the Newham North Run. That's the Great North Run. The Newham Run, the Newham Fun Run, whatever. And our pal Peter got me some tickets for it, and Sean helped get us in there as well for that. So I did another vlog, and when I was in there, I was saying, this is the stadium. I'm moving the camera around. I was there with my son, if you want to go back and watch it. And then I was in the East Stand. And I said, this is the view from the East Stand. They were running around. And then I said, but of course, the seats aren't in their final position. The seats are going to move even further forward than this. That's what I said in the video. Finished the video, edited, put the video up. Just comments started coming saying, sorry, mate. I think that's about as far as they're moving forward. And I was arguing back. No, they're going to go forward, because my expectations had been raised and they were right and I was wrong. Those seats were not going to move any further forward. And that was the first thing I thought. In the middle, they're quite far away, you know.
Right, let's quickly move on. But what did you put for that? Did you put worse, better, or as expected?
Well, I had to put as expected because I'd already been in there before we opened it up. But if it had been a year ago, I would have said worse. But I did see the stadium just before we moved in, so it was exactly what I expected.
It was worse for me. Question number 9. What is your view in the general matchday atmosphere of the London Stadium in terms of volume and support for the team? I put average for this one.
So did I, only because they mixed up the wording of it. Volume and support. Well, I can't ever really criticise everyone for support. Look how many of us, we've gone from getting 36,000 in a stadium to 50,000 in a stadium. So clearly the support was good. Obviously, if it had just been its stadium in terms of volume, I would have said poor. Don't get me wrong, the acoustics, a stadium can create a good volume. But two things. Number one, the team. Number two, how everyone was situated. Just the seating, but you know, you can put the early steward in. It's changed now, but that all contributes to a low volume, a quiet volume in stadium.
And overall results before we move on.
Excellent was one of them. Only got 3% said excellent, 23% said good, 43% said average, 29% thought it was poor.
Yeah, so over 60% say average or poor, but then almost 60%, over 60%, sorry, say average or good. So it depends how you want to look at that question. I suppose you can look at it positively or negatively. Question 10. What is your view on the quality of stewarding and security, taking into account the last game you attended at the London Stadium? Now, the problem is here is that key bit, the last game you attended. No one's attended as well. Obviously, some people have, but the last game is a widespread for a lot of people. As we've seen earlier, they're not all season ticket holders.
No, well, we went on Saturday against Leicester, and the stewarding was good, and the security was good. Got through the queues quicker.
Only because we've worked out that if you go down the side, you get it really quick.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
It's true. If it's piling down the middle, if you go down the side of the queue, there's a lot of stewards down the side of the queue as well. It's a lot more stewarded. And
right, well, you've mucked that up. We're not be racing through there in future, will we? But
it's giving them feedback so they can improve and spread these stewards out a little bit quicker. But what did you put?
I put average because at that point I hadn't been to the Leicester game when I filled out the thing, and so. But yeah, it's getting better.
I put poor because my last one before Leicester, we did the survey before Leicester, so it was West Brom for me, and I had to queue outside. I missed kickoff again just because I was in that queue, and I was a bit naughty because I know since the last game, but the game before that, I was in the queue, got to a steward who was a female, and she said, "Oh, I'm only searching females and kids." So I went past her, and she went, "Oh no, wait, you still need search." So I said, "By who?" She goes, "Oh, you need to join the queue again." I was like, "I don't think so." I said, "So by the time you've just told me this, you could have searched me." And the guy next to her said, "Just let him in." So I didn't even get searching in. And that's why I just think it's a bit calamity. But people tend to agree with me, Gonzo.
They certainly do. 44% said poor, 36% said average, 1.9%, 120 people out of 6,000 said excellent. So, yeah, it's certainly the biggest chunk by far is poor and average. No one thinks it's going well, put it that way.
Less than a fifth of you think it's good. The rest, 80% say average or poor. Question number 11. This was an easy question for me. What is your view on the quality, choice, and price of food and drink within the London Stadium?
Well, it was poor for me. I'm I like a glass of beer, as some may know. I just don't think there's a good enough selection of beer there, and in all honesty, I can't speak about the food. We eat really well before we get in. I think I bought a pack of M&Ms for my son at one game, which was about £4, I think, actually. That was very expensive. I won't be buying chocolate in the Olympic Stadium again. But anyway, the results for this were 40% said average, 40% said poor.
Yeah, I put average, but I don't eat in there. I've never ever bought anything from that stadium at all. But the question ties everything in. Quality, well, I'm happy with the quality of when we have beer. I'm happy with the quality of the beer. So that would be an excellent.
When we first started in there, you could get Amstel and you could get Foster's. Now it seems like you can only get Heineken, or you can get some bitter in there. So at least there were three. It's gone from 3 choices of lager to none. But what I do like about it, I probably should say, is I do like the vendors that are under the stairs. And that I was a bit gutted with that one, because there was a Foster's guy who was under the stairs. Used to go and you get served straight away. But yeah, so it's really choice for me that marked it down.
Yeah, it was the price for me is marked it down. That's probably why I've never eaten in there. Number 12. What is your experience of the London Stadium sight lines and view of the pitch from your seat? Now, I mean, you're biased. What did you put? Did you go for good or excellent? How did you?
Excellent. I put excellent.
I put good because I'm not going to get a better seat than the one we're in. I realise that, but I still struggle to see what's going on the other side of the pitch in terms of perspective. There was one point against Leicester, the ball come out, and we were all like, "Go on!" The ball was actually coming at us. Everyone around us was like, "Yes!" We all thought it was a shot, but actually it was coming to us.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
But I put good. Because I'm trying to bear in mind that we do have one of the best views. But actually, this was always better than I thought it would be.
Well, do you know what's nice about this is I do think people have answered honestly, and they've been quite meticulous with the way that they've read the question. This is about sight lines. It's not about whether you think it's loud or close or anything else. Can you see the pitch? Is there a restricted view? No, there's not. And 38% said good, 18% said excellent. We've had 23 of average, 19% have said it's poor. So, which clearly people are allowed to do. I do think the sight lines are good. I think you can see the pitch from everywhere, which is really what the question is about.
And question number 13. What is your experience of travelling to and from the London Stadium, taking into account walking, public transport, or car? What did you put for this one, actually?
Poor.
Yeah, I put poor as well.
It just takes so well. Firstly, we had the first couple of games where we could walk through Westfield, then Westfield shut it off. So, but what happens now is we get there early. We get there 3 hours before kickoff, constantly before that. Westfield's open then, so they'll let you walk through. So actually, the journey in, I didn't want to mark it down from that. The journey out, just horrific. Just horrific. It's that bad that it's actually had me questioning whether I can go to night games next season. I'm not 550 miles away like you are, but I got out of that stadium at 9:45 or whatever. I got home, I think, at 20-1, and it's a school night. I've got kids. It's you don't get in at 20-1 and go to sleep either, because you just got in, you get in, you do your stuff, and it's that 40 to 45-minute walk from the stadium down to the station is just horrendous. So anyway, so we had 13% said excellent, 30% said good, 26% average, and 29% poor. So I mean, very similar to good and poor in terms of the ratios there.
I think it depends where you come from, because I've seen a few people say they come from Hackney Wick and they actually enjoy the walk night. They said it's full of character and it's got a bit of atmosphere and stuff. But I think depends what side you come from. I would have liked there to be an additional question from this saying, where do you come from? And I think if Westfields would have had poor through the roof, and I think Hackney Wick would have had the good and the excellent. Okay. I'm tempted to investigate it at some point myself, but our boats are on the wrong side of the stadium for that. Question 14: how do you rate your general match day experience at the London Stadium? What did you put personally?
I put excellent, but it's not, you know.
I put good, but I almost put excellent, but that's because of Hamish Chat's personal experience. So I'm biased on this one, but actually I thought the result was a bit better than I thought it would be overall.
It's a good day out. It's a good day out, as we've maintained all season. The problem seems to be when the whistle blows or you're in there. It's the 90 minutes of the match. I quite enjoy going down for a drink at half time. Even I do. It's the truth. I enjoy it before, and as long as it's not a night game and you don't have to leave immediately to rush home for work the next day, and you can stay and have a drink, I do like it. I like it. A lot of these problems can be sorted out. You know, the crowd noise, the experience of the day, a lot of it can be sorted out by getting a little bit better performance on the pitch. I do feel that.
Well, only 298 people agree with you with excellent, but the rest, the other three categories are quite split. But it's good. We've got 34% say good. We've got 37% say average. 23% think it's poor. Only 4% agree with me. Yeah, but swings and roundabouts for that question. I think your match experience is what you make of it to an extent. I think question number 15. I don't really agree with this question being in the survey, but it's in the survey. Question 15: West Ham have been criticised by taxpayers groups for not paying enough in the contribution to the transformation costs and running costs. Do you think West Ham should pay more? This one was a landslide. And rightly so. We're all loyal West Ham fans. No, why would we want to pay more? No, absolutely. So, yeah, 60% said no. 18% said don't know. And yeah, only 20%. Crikey, surely that's been hijacked by Tottenham fans, that 20%. Yeah, we don't want to pay any more. We got a good deal. They're probably the ones that have been voting excellent for every question so far as well. Sure. Hijackers. That 298 people agree with you, all Tottenham fans. Yeah. Question 16. Do you think West Ham will become a regular top 6 club within the next 5 years as a result to the move to the London Stadium? This one was actually a bigger landslide than the last one. But this is the big question, because this was the reason for moving. You said something earlier. We could have done this at Upton Park. All right, we could have signed Robert Snodgrass if we'd have stayed at Upton Park. You know, all of those. I'm digging him out. It's not about him. It's about signing someone for 12 million from Hull. Okay. We could have done that. The whole point of moving to the new stadium was to contest the top 6, to put us on a financial footing that we could challenge the big boys. And this is absolutely telling. The question again: do you think West Ham will become a regular top 6 club within the next 5 years as a result of the move? A whopping 64%, 4,000 of the 6,000 people said no. Another 20,000 said not sure. 20% said not sure. Only less than 1,000 people, 14%, thought that it would propel us into the top 6, and that I believe to be one of the biggest questions in this survey. Yeah, I think the problem is, I wonder how many people are voting about the board rather than the stadium. But the stadium can't really propel you or not. It's up to the people that run the club to make the stadium propel you. So I guess they've tied in to an extent. But well, what did you vote? I think I know what you voted, but I said no. Oh no! I mean, I've said we're a million miles away. Look at what these other guys are spending. Look at what they're about to. Look what Everton are prepared to do to keep Lukaku. Well, we are a million miles away from getting the players that can contest. To contest that, you're going to have to buy £50 million players, and not just one of them. And I think we're a million miles away from that. Question 17. Do you think West Ham will kick on to the next level and become a top 4 team within the next 10 years? As a result, I think you can guess mine and Gonzo's answers. Very similar results, actually. Pretty much like for like. Well, I just think you've clicked one, and then you've clicked on and went no, and then you click the next one. Oh, of course not. In fact, they should have had a category of course not. Listen, we'll just be repeating ourselves. We said the same again. It is more or less the same graph.
So people have very little faith that the stadium is going to turn us in to a top 4 team. The critical thing is the last one was top 6. This is now top 4. Top 4 in the next 10 years. Spend a lot of money. So this money, you spoke about direct correlations. We said it on a number of things. A direct correlation between the money you spend and where you finish in the league.
It's quite disheartening, though. That's the next decade of our lives, and none of us are confident that we'll see a sniff of Champions League. That's worrying. I mean, you if we do this survey again in 10 years' time, you're going to be doing the top age category at the very start of this survey. If you're not careful, you're going to be going for the highest age bracket.
Oh, you'll be in this 75. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I'll still be stuck.
You'll go no for
this cupboard, probably. Yeah.
Right, question 18. This one is actually better than I thought. When I seen this one in the survey, I thought, but this is why I like the survey, because it's asking questions like this. Do you think the West Ham board are doing a good job? What did you answer?
Do you know what? I think I answered average. I can't actually remember. I think I answered average. Which it is really, isn't it? I mean, it's the move has turned out a bit average as it stands. The team has been average. I can't get away from the team. Sorry. And that's about the stadium and the move. The team is so important. I can't help but think that if Payet had been banging in free kicks and we'd have signed a 25 goal a season striker or whatever comment it was, 25 million, 20 goal, whatever, we'd have signed that striker and the world was a happy place and we were contesting top 8. I mean, I'd definitely be saying good. There's no doubt about that. But I just think it has been bang average, really, this season.
I did average, but the problem is 12 months ago, I would maybe have done excellent. And I'm still, so I started here. When the surveys come out, I'm down at average. The problem is, if they keep going at the rate they're going, ask me in another 12 months, I'll probably be in the poor bracket. That's the way I'm starting going. But if you asked me 12 months ago, I would have made a case to click the button excellent and say, actually, I'm really, really glad. Minimum good. But now it's average for me as well. It could be a lot worse, but I think
that's 39%. The average was the biggest one there. 39% say average, 28% poor, 27% good, 5% excellent.
Question 19 coming up to the end here. How well does West Ham value you as a supporter and listen to fans' concerns?
This was a really tough one for me because I think if I'd had to answer this beforehand, I actually skipped this question because I didn't think it was fair to answer, and just because we got invited in to give our opinions by the club. So actually it's because, most West Ham fans haven't, so I can't answer on behalf of everyone. Clearly, everyone thinks it's average or poor.
I did poor. I don't think they'll listen at all. I know we got to the meeting. I know what you're saying. Well,
it says you. As I say, if you're going to be strict with the questions, which I tried to be all the way through, didn't say how have West Ham treated the fans generally, I would have had an answer. How have they treated you?
It does say, to me, though, I read it as, how does it value you as a supporter? So the part, listen to fans' concerns, yes, you can make a case, but how does it value you as a supporter? I think you've got every right to answer that, because how did it value you as season ticket renewals? How are you getting valued as rewards?
Yeah, but they invited us in to give feedback on behalf of the fans, so that's what I'm saying. If I hadn't have gone to that, I would have thought, well, not at all, but clearly we've been asked to give our opinions over on behalf of, fans.
Well, I put poor anyway. I think I just don't think they value us as a supporter or listen to us as fans very much. I mean, like you said, that meeting we went to, very little has been done that said would get done in that meeting. Very little. We know a guy working on the shelves in the stadium. Yes. And let's be honest, it is a joke. That meeting was 2 months ago, and there's 3 or 4 people working on the shelving in the stadium, something like that. It's just things like that. I just think it's just all smoke and mirrors a little bit. So that I just think we got mugged off in that meeting a little bit. But for me, it's poor. And a lot of people agree with me. And this is what the club have to look at. This question here is alarming for them. There's not much they can do about the European football unless they open a checkbook. But this is about valuing people as a supporter. That's free.
Yeah, but what you get here, and this is where I said to loyalty with fans, this doesn't reflect itself in the renewals, because there's clearly people thinking they've been treated averagely or poorly, but they're still going to renew their season ticket, and you know, and that's the loyalty of a football fan for you.
Yeah. So question 20, by the way, we can't do anything because it said anything to add. So that was where you could put in your own personal comment. So we're going to skip to the very last question number 21, which is, well, actually, there's no point in doing this one, is there? Where did you come from this survey? So it's sort of just you could just tell where you diverted to. Gonzo, what's your overall thoughts, I suppose, of the survey? Is it good? Is it bad? If you were the board, what would you be thinking?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good survey, and I think for people that had said, "Oh, it's going to be a whitewash," this is something, you know, the club have put out there. Clearly, now you've seen it all come in. It's not. The club will read it. They'll listen. They'll listen. Whether they act on it is another matter. I can't say that, but absolutely, the club's eyes are going to be all over this. This is a big one. We've got contributors here. West Ham side, Diane Claret and Hugh together did this. There's people from Leeds Up, Mother Brown, the West Ham United Supporters Association, the West Ham Way, Hammers Chat ourselves, some others which has not been specified. I mean, clearly these people have come from far and wide, regardless of what blog you read or what video you watch or whatever. You've got to listen to this. This is the West Ham fans speaking, and a good cross section. I told you earlier when we were discussing about doing this video, I said to you that I think for a poll to be considered an official poll, it has to be over 2,000 people. Well, this is well in excess of that. So it's a very, very good cross section of how West Ham fans are feeling. So I think this survey is, even if the answers aren't great for the club, I think this survey is nothing but positive.
I think one thing that they should remember, which is going to come across as negative, and I'm aware of that, but I don't care. But in the article, Karen Hugh and I was sort of encouraged to only answer if you've been to the London Stadium, which go by the questions, you can kind of understand. But there's one or two questions in there people could have answered, which was, do you see European football? Do you see Champions League football? Do you think the board are doing it? How do they value you? I think the poll would have probably been a lot more negative, because there's a reason people aren't going to the London Stadium. And I think that's tied in with that to an extent, that it's because of the board I'm not going to the London Stadium. Well, I can't answer if I'm not going to the London Stadium. Well, I'm not going there because of the board. So I think maybe, but I think the results are as expected. There's some not as harsh as I thought they'd be, actually. Like the match day experience, I thought it would be a lot worse. But it sounds like a lot of people are starting to sort of find their feet a little bit, find where they want to go. Whether it is with us, whether it's in the Carpenters, whether it's on the other side of the stadium, you're going out in Hackney Wick or whatever, it sounds like people are starting to find their feet and realise how they're going to enjoy it, minus the football. Enjoy it before and enjoy it after. And that's what that poll suggests a little bit. But fingers crossed that the board do listen and the people at the club do listen, because it's a third of fans are being discontent, if you want. It's a large number. It's a huge, huge number.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder what that poll would be like at other clubs as well. Crikey, I would want to see the Arsenal one, put it that way, if they'd have done, that survey. So the reason I think that some were less harsh than you expected is because with football fans, we don't want things to go badly. We want to win. We want to win the FA Cup. We want things to. I think we're realistic. I think when we're answering that second one in 10 years top four, people are laughing almost when they do. That'd be ridiculous. We're West Ham, of course, we're not going to be top four. But I think for a lot of us, that's okay, because we just want to contest the FA Cup and watch exciting football and that sort of thing. And I think that's why some of the answers were better than we might have expected, because we know what we are. We know we're West Ham United. We've been a yo-yo club for years and years and years. I just don't think as fans we've swallowed the whole concept of this stadium move is going to turn us into Real Madrid. I think we know that that's not the case.
Anyway, if you want to look at the full results again without going back through a video, there's a link to the Claret and Hugh article and the West Ham Till I Die article down below in the description. So you can click that and you can read it in written format rather than listen to us two chattering. But if you're listening to me right now, you've already listened to us chattering. We'll be back later on this week doing a cup of tea. Me and Gonzo will be having a cup of tea. We'll be talking about injuries to our 3 key players as well as everything else West Ham. Gonzo, anything left for you to say?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. Keep that as a separate video, as you say, the injuries. There's lots to discuss there. Oh, no, I do have one thing to say. If you were on the boat at the Leicester game and it was your birthday, please get in touch with me. And Peter, basically, I've got your birthday cards, mate. I've got your birthday cards. You left them on the boat. I've got them. Get in touch with us, and I'll see you at when is the next home game? Which one?
Swansea.
I'll see you at Swansea. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Hit the subscribe button. If you've enjoyed this, hit the like button. Come on to the forum at hammerschat.com where we're discussing the results of the survey, what it means for West Ham United, what it means for the football fans, what it means for you. So don't be shy.